Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dan and this is my recap review of Season 1 of Stranger Things. After I saw the trailer for Season 3 of Stranger Things, which if you go onto my channel, it's on there, and please give it a watch because it's a really good trailer. The reaction, I'll leave it to you to decide if that's good or not. So basically, I decided to rewatch Season 1 again because I actually thought I remember more of Season 2 than I remember of Season 1, which isn't a lot. Season 2 is still fresh in my mind. Season 1, I'd completely kind of forgotten about what had happened. So, to go back into the town of Hawkins at the start of this gigantic story was actually quite refreshing for me. I don't usually rewatch shows. I kind of binge watch the shows and go through them, and I do binge watch a lot. The shows that I have rewatched, like Breaking Bad, Lost, Game of Thrones, they are like my favourite shows. They are like pure, brilliant shows. So for me to rewatch a show like Stranger Things has now added it to my favourites lists of the TV shows. So basically, going back into Hawkins, I was excited to be reunited with Will, Dustin, 11, Lucas, and Mike, and also Steve, and so I'm reading from my phone because I can't remember the names. Steve, Jonathan, and Nancy. I remembered those characters, but I kind of fell back in love with them again. I found the chemistry of all the young lads was just so perfect. It was so like natural, and I do wonder if those boys actually hung out with each other before just to get the chemistry going. But yet again, they were kids, so it's easier for kids to have a friendship with each other than actual adults sometimes. So from the very start, when they're all playing around the board game and they're talking about the Demogorgon and the monster, it was like I was watching The Goonies, those coming of age kind of films. Obviously the show is set in the 80s, and it was like a nostalgia trip for the second time for me, and I really liked it. Dustin is probably my favourite out of the kids. He is just absolutely brilliantly hilarious. And I must admit, this is the fastest I've actually flown through a rewatch of a show. And because I was just rehooked, I was rehooked back into it. Will's mum is actually played by an actual phenomenal actress, Winona Ryder. She plays such a vulnerable woman who is also at the same time strong as well, because she has to raise two lads. Their father's not in the picture, and if she didn't win awards, which I'm pretty sure she did, she should win awards. I also liked the sheriff, David Harbour, as we all know him from Hellboy. David Harbour plays Sheriff Hopper, and when I was watching his character, I was like, he'd make a great Wolverine. I know probably some people wouldn't agree with that, but I just saw like if he played like an older kind of Wolverine, I'd watch him play that. So basically, it was just a great moment of rewatching them, understanding their backstories. There were a few things in the first season which actually are answered in the second season that I realised. And for anyone who's watching, there is a spoiler for this, so you've been warned. And if you haven't watched Stranger Things, get on that now and do not watch this video. Basically, for me, when I was watching Stranger Things and near the very end, when Eleven took the monster back into the Upside Down, I was thinking, so how did they get out in the second season? And it shows you Will coughing up the like slug creature, which obviously in the Upside Down he had this like tube, which obviously was like them pumping the parasites into him. So basically, this parasite slug went down into the drainage system. So that for me, I was like, oh, so they've obviously grown and they're burrowing under the ground in season 2. And for me, yeah, there was a lot of unanswered questions answered when I rewatched it. Steve, his character, I didn't like at first. Obviously, in season 2, he changes, but in this, I thought he was an absolute dick. He was like the typical school bully, which you don't like. He was like Mr. Cool, but also he's an asshole. But he then changed. He then changed into a hero when he burst into the Byers' house, where Nancy and Jonathan were fighting the monster, and he then became a hero. And he saw that, oh, Jonathan isn't actually going after my girl, which kind of he was, but he's fighting something which is so evil. So Steve became the hero because his girl was in trouble, and also the fact that, you know, there was a monster there. The one thing I really liked, was Nancy and Jonathan's, it was like a friendship, but also deep down underlying, there's romance there, and I ship people in shows very quickly, and, you know, I always did in the first season, if I could remember. I shipped those two, because when the police officer said to Nancy, you know, only one thing would make a guy act the way Jonathan did, by punching Steve, and you know, and that's love. And Nancy's like, no, and like the police officer's like, trust me, he loves you. Nancy liked that. She liked the idea that Jonathan loved her, and he basically, it was just warming to see that these two characters, who was like, come on guys, let's get together. But obviously Jonathan's a bit of a social outcast. He keeps himself to himself. He doesn't want any trouble, but obviously when Will Byers goes missing, his brother, you know, everyone's world, all these characters' worlds entwine and interconnect. And it was so good to rewatch again. The monster was terrifying. It was kind of like it's like a Venus flytrap. I can't actually explain it. You know, I'd like to know what the actual monster was, but it's one of those things where it was just horrifically scary, and I just found it absolutely brilliant. Millie Bobby Brown, who plays 11, at the age she was at when she started this show, she's an incredible actress. I've actually been following her now. I've been watching every film she's been in, and she has evolved as an actress into a strong woman, and I just absolutely, it's really hard not to love 11, the character of 11, as this fragile little girl, but yet she's got such ferocity and anger that if someone's hurt her friends, she will use her powers. So yeah, this show I felt had a touch of Stephen King. It had a touch of Spielberg with the bicycle chases. It had like nostalgia trips to like Star Wars, Dungeons and Dragons, Back to the Future. It had a cracking song by The Clash. Should I Stay or Should I Go Now? I will give this recap rewatch, a 10 out of 10. Like, there was nothing wrong with this show. I absolutely loved it. I'm going to be starting season 2 tonight, I'm most likely going to fly through that, so please expect a review for Season 2. Also coming up is a review for Chris Shiflett, the lead guitarist of the Foo Fighters. He's got a new album out called Hard Lessons, and it is a lovely country album. I'm becoming more and more and more into country music now, so expect that. Also, a little announcement, and I hope you keep following me after I announce this. On July the 4th and onwards, I will be recording myself watching Stranger Things 3. I'm just at the moment figuring out the software and, of how to do it, but I will be recording it so you can come along with me on the journey. That's it basically, guys. Thank you very much for watching this recap. Expect more reviews, expect more reactions. If you like this video, please press like, and if you haven't subscribed and would like to, please subscribe, because I would like more viewers and the subscribers. So yeah, thank you very much. Have a good evening.